Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. 1 2 3, 1 2 3. 1 2 3 4 5. 10 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. Case Western Reserve, Chicago. That should be enough for you. It's delayed like a minute.
Let's make it easier, a little bit better to set up today.
Yeah. Yeah, you can say that again. Especially because I was sick all last week.
Yes.
I'm 90% of the way better. But still kind of getting over it. We've played some really good games with them lately. I'm excited to see how we do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good, but like they're not unbeatable.
No.
But they're good.
Yeah. Sounds great.
All right.
Awesome. I'm gonna be down on the field taking pictures during senior day, so
Okay.
but
Yeah,
should
we'll
be
be
all good up here. So.
Cool.
student athletes, coaches, and spectators who strive for American spirit and tradition in Indigenous athletics. We request your cooperation by supporting the participants and officials in a positive manner. Profanity, sexist, ethnic, homophobic, or racial comments uttered in connection with directing officials, student athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated or endorsed in this competition. Also, consumption or possession of alcoholic beverages and the use of artificial noisemakers is strictly prohibited. We would also like to remind you that smoking is prohibited at
Coming to you live from DeSanto Field in Cleveland, Ohio. Welcome inside our coverage of the Case Western Reserve Spartans on athletics.case.edu. It's a big day, a doubleheader between the Case Western Reserve Spartans and the Chicago Maroons. We begin on the men's side, pinning the number 23 Spartans and the number 1 nationally ranked Maroons from the University of Chicago. I'm Brendan Gulick, glad to have you on board. This is a fun matchup because over the last couple of years, Case has played Chicago pretty darn well. And the Spartans are having, you could argue, one of the best seasons in school history, certainly to this point. Case on the season, 10 wins, 2 losses, and just 1 draw. The University of Chicago Maroons are having a terrific season, 12 wins. They are unbeaten. They have drawn just once. And so this is as big a test as the Spartans are going to have all year. The only tie for Chicago, second game of the year, they tied Trinity 3-3. Off we go. Case is in navy. Chicago is in white. Our referees, Ryan Slack, Michael Vigorito, and Vincent Ragone. We'll begin with the Spartans, who in goal today send freshman Charlie Fink, the young man from Revere High School in the Akron area. He is being trusted with a huge task today, and that is to keep one of the top scoring teams in the country out of the net. Chicago has scored 35 goals in 13 games. They are a very dynamic offensive group. So Charlie Fink will be in goal for the Spartans. The other starters for Case, Connor Weber, Alex Bessel, Garrett Winter, Marquez Manta, Nevo Siv, Christian Lytle, Peter Durnell, Zachary Senft, Nathan Ekberg, and Brian Wu. Spartans are coached in his 6th season by Brandon Bianco, whose team a few years ago in 2015 put together a 13-4-1 record, and that was the best mark that they've put up since 2011 when the program won 15 games and dropped the 3rd best mark ever back in 2015. And this team right now is on the Chicago side. Well, their goalkeeper is one of the best in the country, Aaron Katsimpaulis. He is a sophomore from Harrison Township, Michigan. And he is trusted with a big task this afternoon on the road. Never easy to play on the road in the UAA. Other starters for the Maroons, Sam Drablos, Isaiah Holquist, Nico Capotozzo, Renato Corgi, Max Lopez, Matthew Coe, Vincent Matus, Nate Johnson, Kyle Rourke, and Scott Lick. Opening couple minutes of action. Spartans would love to try to get going early. There's a good ball played toward the middle. It was off Connor Weber's left foot, but the Maroons pulled it away. And part of the reason why I say that, this is a Case team that, especially last year in the meeting with Chicago, the Spartans lost 2-1 in overtime, but the game's first goal did not come till the 78th minute. And Case had some decent looks early in the game, but it would certainly help their momentum if they could find a way here at home to maybe play from out front. I think if you're able to do that against a team of Chicago's quality, it'll help your case as you kind of see the game go along. The good news is the weather today is supposed to be just magnificent. The high today is about 56, and it's shy of that right now. It's probably just crossed into about the 50-degree barrier here in Cleveland. But we are not expecting, in fact, hardly any clouds. There are a few scattered cirrus clouds, but nothing crazy at the moment. Senft thinks he can take a shot with the left foot. Misses wide left. 41-30 left in the first half, scoreless. The Maroons coming off a campaign in which they probably feel like they now need to attack some unfinished business because Chicago last year was as good as they come. 19-2-2, their final mark. They lost 7-6 in penalty kicks in the NCAA semifinals. They lost to North Park, who is also one of the top-ranked teams in the country and played for that national championship last year. But 19-2-2, the best season ever at Chicago. And you could make an argument that when Mike Babst took over their program 6 years ago, that the soccer program at Chicago has never been better. They've been playing since 1947, and his cumulative record far exceeds, so far in terms of winning percentage, far exceeds any of his predecessors. Chicago double-digit wins every year since the first season when his team only won 9 games, but they have been just fabulous ever since that point. Spartans try to defend on the back line. That's Nathan Ekberg holding things off. And Mike Babst entered the season 69, 20, and 11. So with that in mind, and this year's 12 wins already, 81 wins, 20 losses, and 12 draws. Katsampoulos sends it out. And it's deflected out by Case. Flip to the other side of the field. Of course, Max Lopez, first team All-American, and the D3Soccer.com forward of the year last year. He is darn good as Matthew Coe sends it over, headed clear by the back line. Well done. Lopez, a senior from Tulsa. He is having a really solid season again this year. 11 goals, 5 assists. When you have somebody like that up top that you can trust, it makes things a lot easier on the rest of the team. He was 8th in Division III last year with 19 goals. But again, the National Forward of the Year in D3Soccer.com. That's played over by Coe. A couple times they've tried to go through him. Good move by Sempt. Working around Scott Licht. It's ahead for Bessel. He runs onto it, but can't keep it. And the Spartans called for a foul. And on top of their national success the last couple of years, this is a Chicago program that's won the UAA championship each of the last 2 seasons in a row and 3 of the last 4. They have been to the playoffs each of the last 4 years, and they've gotten closer and closer to winning a national championship every year. But last year fell just 1 win shy of qualifying for that national championship game. And the Maroons certainly feel they've got the talent and the capability to get back to that level. They play with great energy. They play with great rhythm. And it's a team that's pretty unselfish. They share the ball extremely well. Babst has a lot of coaching experience at the Division I level. He's coached at the University of South Carolina. Also spent some time coaching at Duquesne. And he spent a couple years at Washington and Lee. That was back early in his coaching career. Spartans have a free kick coming. 36:50 left on the first half clock. No score yet. Sent forward with the left foot. It's a pretty good one, but it's headed right on frame. Nathan Ekberg couldn't direct it away from Katsampoulos. And the Maroons will get rolling. There are some other games going on around the UAA today, and we'll try to give you some updates when we get them. But Washington University is playing Carnegie Mellon. Emory is at Brandeis. And NYU hosts Rochester this morning. In fact, those are all 11 a.m. games around the conference. We hope you'll stick with us later this afternoon as well on the ladies' side when the Maroons and Spartans should start roughly 1:30, but of course it depends on the outcome of this game and the timing with which this game finishes, but the scheduled start time is 1:30. Case ranked 23rd in the country this year. They're having a terrific season. In large part, Zachary Senft, who is a junior and now starting to step into a big role on this team. He is one of the local kids on the roster, and there aren't very many. But Senft played for one of the premier national high school soccer programs at St. Ignatius High School here in Cleveland. They have won 9 state championships at the big school level in the state of Ohio. Winter centers it across. Good look on frame. Monta just a little tall. So far, Spartans look pretty good. They seem to be dictating the tempo pretty well. And I certainly think it's fair to say that the defense has held its own. 3 shots for Case early in the game. None yet for Chicago. Coe sends it back to Kyle Rourke. Good job stepping in front from Durnell. Finds Rourke's feet again anyways. Now Matus. And a corner kick. First corner kick of the match for either side. 34 minutes left in the first half. No score. This is where Chicago can be awfully dangerous. On the way in, it's knocked straight down. Spinning shot stuffed by Senft. Extremely well done. Lopez flicks to his right. Coe sends it around and over. Goal kick for Charlie Fink. By the way, it's also senior day for the Spartans, so if you did not catch the very beginning of the broadcast, there was a nice little ceremony to recognize the 5 members of the senior class, a few of which are on the field now. Alex Bessel and Christian Lytle get the start. Brady Dalton, Josh Wargo, and Reed Kurtenbach all come off the bench. But those are the 5 seniors this year for Brandon Bianco. Brian Wu flicks it across. Lytle and Ekberg have done so well this season, occupying those center back roles. And in large part, if you're going to have a solid season as a team, you got to be able to trust your back line and know that they're going to keep things organized and make good decisions with the ball. As Drablos rolls it to the middle. Maroons have a little momentum here. Lopez taps it over the top. Sealed off by Monta. And a Chicago throw. Holquist sends it over. Gorgie needs some help. Good pressure up top by the Spartans. Less than 32 minutes left in the first half. Beautiful give and go to Coe. Ripped a shot off a defender. It was blocked. Christian Lytle, in fact, got something on it. And now Senft. I mentioned how Senft has played well this year. Second on the team in points with 14. He's got 4 goals and 6 assists. Nifty play to Lopez. A beautiful tackle. It's ruled clean. Gutsy play. But if you're going to beat the number one team in the country, you're going to have to come up with big plays like that. Tip of the cap. Well done to Lytle. Who wears the captain's sleeve. Too strong for Connor Weber. Chicago in the white on white this morning. And Case will be in the navy and silver. By the way, the wind is a little bit of a factor. It's not crazy, but strong enough to be notable. Blowing from left to right, I would say somewhere between 7 and 10 miles per hour. Lick, the right back, pressing forward. He got past two defenders, but then was sealed off by Ekberg. Coe needs some help. Goes to Capitasto. Well, so far I've been impressed with Case's poise, and I've been impressed with Chicago's ability to stay composed when they need to play fast. They've done so, but maintained possession more often than not. But if you're a Case fan, the thing I would probably tell you is, so far in this game, I don't know if there's a sizable difference between the two sides. Chicago's results have been terrific this year, and they are quite worthy of the number one national ranking. But Case is more than playing with them. They're dictating the tempo here early in the game. Sent over the top. Monta had trouble controlling it. Good play. Senft couldn't keep it. Rolled ahead. Bessel trying to run onto it. And the Maroons send it out. '17th minute. We are scoreless. Tried a little give and go slip pass back to Durnell. Not effective that time. Spartans usually take pretty high shot totals. They're a pretty aggressive offensive team, but Chicago's very much the same way. They both average roughly 17 shots per game. Neither have taken too many early on, but maybe just a lick behind their season average in terms of the pacing. Lytle, tackled. And Lytle looks like he is injured. Well, the good news is he gets back to his feet. Roughed up a little bit by Max Lopez. Good to see Lytle be okay. Pops up. On the free kick, Nevo Civ. Work the near side. Good idea. Fink out to grab it. 19th minute, no score. Nice job flipping the field. Wu at least maintains possession, though the pass was just barely off target. This is where Case does a really good job. They stay patient. They look for the right areas on the field to attack. This one finds a small opening. Monta's been really close to pulling the trigger a couple times. His one shot he's taken was just a little bit too tall. Lopez runs toward the corner, And the flag goes up, offside. Tried to time it perfectly. But the Maroons were just fractionally off. It was either on Lopez or Coe. They were both flirting with that back line. I'm going to guess it was on Lopez, given where they're taking the free kick here. Sunny October Sunday afternoon in Cleveland. After a rainy couple of days, the weather today is beautiful. It's a quintessential fall day. Cool and breezy, but the sun's shining. Nice takeaway. Well done by Connor Weber. But the Maroons, as they have so often, maintain their composure. Well, the results the last couple of years when these teams have met have either been draw or slightly favoring Chicago. 2 years ago, a 0-0 tie. Last year, I mentioned a 2-1 overtime win for the Maroons. And when the senior class were freshmen 3 years ago, Chicago beat the Spartans 1-0 in overtime as well. Beckberg works back with Fink. He sends it out. Capitasto. Matus. This is where Chicago's really dangerous. They don't try to just force to one playmaker. They really play the smart possession. Put the ball in open space, work together as a team. Fink dives as the shot misses barely, marginally wide right. That's a pretty good look from Isaiah Holquist. A near miss. In the meantime, Chicago makes a substitution. Matthew Coe comes out. Carter Romero, a sophomore from Austin, Texas, makes his first appearance. And actually, we were informed prior to the game that there was a chance Romero would start in place of Coe. So to see that substitution early on gives you the impression that perhaps Mike Babst is still deciding which of those two makes them a better squad. Good high ball pressure, but controlled a little bit better by Winter. Now it's Lopez sending it across. Tapped back toward Matus. 23rd minute, scoreless from DeSanto Field. Lopez ahead. Nifty footwork from Rourke. Tried to rip a shot. It actually deflected off Peter Durnell's head out of bounds. So a Case corner kick coming as Vincente Matus goes over to take it. On the way in. Good driving low ball, swinging in, punched way up into the sky by Fink. Maroons aren't done pressuring, though. It was a bit of a dangerous play, but nobody got hurt. Here comes Case. Durnell sending it forward. Solid tackle. Weber wins the throw, I believe. I suppose they're going to give it back to the Maroons. Katsampoulos plays it out of the back. Carnegie Mellon has struck early against Washington University. And so the Tartans have a 1-0 lead. Oh, that's a poor mistake by Fink, and he races to cover back on the far side. Some miscommunication somewhere along the way. He clears one over the middle of the field. And it dangerously rolled right to Vicent Matus. So far, no score between Emory and Brandeis. And again, the other game going on is Rochester and NYU. Two outstanding programs, and they are scoreless in the 23rd minute. Rochester 9-1-1. NYU is 10-2 on the season. NYU already beat the Spartans a couple games back. Nice little move. It ricochets off Katsoupoulos' face. He's a little stunned, but he gets back up. The shot from Senft kind of left him literally stunned for a moment. The good news is Katsoupoulos seems okay. Wow. Spartans are preparing to make a substitution as well. They want to send Maximilian Clem onto the field. We'll see whom he checks in for. Spartan foul sets up a Chicago free kick. 26th minute, no score between Case and the University of Chicago. Matus takes a lot of the free kicks. Spartans had to back up, make sure they were a full 10 yards off the ball. Matus with the right foot, sort of side hits it. Fink out aggressively to grab it. And he went lunging at the ball as Max Lopez was hoping to try and head it free of the keeper. This has been a really good match so far. I think both sides have played solid soccer. Lopez had it poked away. Beautiful, clean tackle. Another great play by Lytle. Well, from a Case perspective, I can't imagine that it's very difficult to mentally get up for the number one team in the country. But sometimes you might mentally be there and you just come out a little flat anyways. Matus rockets one a little tall. You often see him take the set pieces with his right leg, but he showcases his ability there with his left foot. Spartans up. Marques Manta comes out. Maximilian Clem on the pitch for the first time. 28th minute, no score. Case and Chicago have both had a few pretty good looks here in the first half. Spartans, to say that they're looking for a season-defining win, maybe that's not the best way to say it because they've beaten some good teams. They blanked Kenyon 3-0. Kenyon was ranked number 7 in the nation, coming off a nice win over Wash U. They're a top 25 program. Beat Wash U 1-0. They beat Capital in overtime 1-0. And they drew Brandeis, who's having a good year. I mentioned the loss to NYU and the loss to Mount Union. The loss to the Mount Union Purple Raiders still appears to be a good loss. Mount Union started the year 8-0 and did not give up a goal in the first 8 games of the season. Now, as things have continued, Mount Union's actually dropped a couple of games, but still a very good Purple Raiders team. Down in Alliance, Ohio, that's another Great Lakes regional matchup. Speaking of regional matchups, as Fink comes up with the loose ball, everybody is looking forward to what's coming on Wednesday, when for the first time this year, the National Committee will release the first of 4 regional rankings. They'll put those out each Wednesday for 4 weeks. The first 3 are just to kind of give you an idea of where teams are, the last of which will be the official regional rankings for the tournament selection process. Dangerous play by Fink. He's got to recover quickly. Shot goes wide right. And Fink is trying to communicate with Lytle to say, hey, where did you want me and where should you have been? We've played 30 minutes. Chicago and Case Western Reserve. No score from DeSanto Field. A Maroons substitute waiting to come on. One of their terrific young or I should say terrific veteran players, Dayo Udeosun. Dayo's having a really good year. 9 points, while 22 of the 35 goals for Chicago have come from either Coe or Lopez. Dayo Udeosun has been one of the more effective other players. He and Kyle Rourke each with 9 points on the year, 3 goals and 3 assists for both of them. So a legitimate scoring threat entering the game for the Maroons. And in his place, Rourke comes off the pitch. Long ball played ahead. That's why Lopez is so good. He can control, most of the time, control the ball even when his body seems like he's out of control. And again, last year when he scored 19 goals, he was one of the top 10 goal scorers in the country. Hasn't been able to get in the back of the net quite as often this year, but I think he would tell you that he doesn't care so much about the individual numbers as he does what Chicago does as a team. And after going 19-2-2 last year, but falling 1 game shy of qualifying for the national championship match, everybody on Chicago is trying to buy into the process to what it would take to get down to Greensboro in late November, early December. National championship match is held this year on December 1st. Lopez tries to head it in. It's saved. It was almost headed in by a Spartan. Oh, Case gets awfully lucky. Fink makes a terrific diving save. Nevo Civ almost put it in as though he was a Maroon. Almost tucked it in perfectly in the bottom left corner. And on the corner kick, things scored through. That's the first time we've seen Case face any real legitimate adversity all afternoon. How do they respond here, and what can the Maroons do to try to suffocate it? Drablos rips a shot into a Spartan who's diving away. That was off Lytle. And now Case on the move the other direction. Senft wants to go forward with it. Capitasto. Back to Matus. Intercepted. Senft plays toward the middle. Weber across. Flicked on by Clem, but way too much on it. And at this point, the wind has actually picked up. It's significantly breezy. When I told you earlier that the flag was probably indicating wind 7 to 10 miles an hour, it is waving significantly more than it was earlier. The flag behind the scoreboard off to the right-hand side of the field, behind the goal on the north end of the stadium. Waving in a steady breeze at this point, and some of the trees in the surrounding areas are moving in the wind. Actually, the flag looks rather majestic at the moment. 35th minute upon us. No score between Case and Chicago, but both teams have had some interesting turns of play lately. In fact, the Maroons have had far more offensive opportunities the last 10 minutes after Case had brought the ball up the field a little bit, but their shots have been a little bit more few and far between. Technically, Chicago 7 shots, 0 on goal. The Spartans 4 shots, 2 on target. But I would argue that Chicago has had better looks at putting in the game's first goal lately. Nifty move up the sideline by the Maroons. They center it toward Adeosun. He tried to just chip it ahead for Lopez. Shuffled back forward and cleared out by Ekberg. Lopez has Adeosun on side. Spins and shoots wide right. Quick trigger. Good shot, but off target. And Case makes a substitution as freshman Sean Atwater from North Allegheny High School in Pittsburgh comes aboard. Garrett Winter leaves the field. And the Maroons are waiting to check on sophomore Ben Brandt, but he will not come on quite yet. Other substitution for Chicago, Bryce Millington is about to check in. Next dead ball, we'll see those two subs. Less than 10 minutes left before halftime. Chicago 0, Case 0. Adeosun. Good sharing. Anyways, to wrap up the earlier thought on the Spartans and a seismic victory. Look, they've played some really good teams, and they've beaten some really good teams. Well done defensively. Good play by Lytle as the two subs wait to check on. Here they come. So Dio Adeosun will take the corner kick, and it looks like Lopez checks out for the Maroons along with Renato Corgi. A win today for Case would have a little more meaning behind it than the ones from earlier in the year. It is tough to knock off number one. Adeosun high, bending, heavy ball, and it kind of cleared everybody. .8:13 on the clock. No score. I think the other thing important in a match like this, for a kid like Charlie Fink, this is probably the biggest game he's ever played in. You don't get a chance to play the number one team in the country very often. Unless you happen to play in the UAA, then it seems to happen with some frequency. But he still is a young freshman goalkeeper, and while he's had a great year, this is his first chance to play a team of this magnitude. And so it's important for him to make sure that he mentally stays locked in all the time. By the way, Selden Magruder has come on for the Spartans. Boy, did he have a big goal last year. His goal actually gave Case a 1-0 lead that they eventually relinquished and lost in overtime. Magruder is one of the tallest players on the field, 6'6", but technical and savvy enough to play as a forward. Young man from Los Angeles. Darnell tried to stir the pot and step in there. 7:05 left before halftime. Scoreless from Case Western Reserve. Some folks have started milling about on the far side of the field, crowding around the fence behind the benches. Nice to see those interested at looking on. Wonder how many of those are diehard interested spectators as opposed to just passers-by who wanted to check out and see what was going on. Do they even know that the number one team in the country and their Spartans are playing on the field right now? Good takeaway by Atwater. Case has been pretty impressive in this first half, but they're looking for a play that can really help them define their momentum. They've had to play more defense over the last 15 minutes than they probably cared to. 6 minutes remaining before halftime. Long ball played ahead. Maroons connect with Milligan. Good play by Connor Weber. Headed back toward the middle from Durnell. And somehow it falls to Scott Lick anyways. Decent little challenge from Millington. Matus rolls across the far side. Spin move from Holquist was pretty impressive. He kept it, but his pass across intercepted. Senft fouled. Well done to draw that foul. And truth be told, whether it was Lick or Drablos, admittedly I don't remember without the replay, but yes, a foul, and yet not a terrible mistake because it prevented Case from having a fast break up the field. Not a booking. Brian Wu sends it away with a right foot. It plays over the top, turns into a shot wide of the target from Atwater. Deflecting off a Maroon, and so a corner kick coming. Now Chicago's Nate Johnson is a little slow to get up. In the meantime, a new Spartan runs onto the field. It is Josh Wargo, one of the seniors here on Senior Day. Played his high school soccer not far from here at University School. Bending ball, loose in the box, and the Maroons take care of it. Wu keeps it alive. Back toward the corner. Atwater crosses again. Well read by Katzimpaulis. 3:55 left in the first half. Chicago and Case, no score. First time in probably 15 minutes that Maroons fans have felt their hearts in their throat a little bit. Magruder couldn't quite run onto it. Nice job by Lick to keep it in play. Millington stymied. Boy, I'll tell you what, Nathan Ekberg and Christian Lytle are just ridiculously good. Lick rolls it back. Some pressure from Magruder. Katzimpaulis clears it okay. Matus. Soft touch ahead. Spin move by Brandt. Now Matus feeds the far side. Holquist on the give and go. Playing a little cat and mouse game with Carter Romero. Millington pressured a bit. Lytle wins the ball back. Weber went down, and then Weber called for the foul. Looked like he kind of rolled up on one of the Spartans. Good job by Magruder to quickly jump in front of the ball and prevent a quick restart. 2:22 left in the first half. The Maroons have a set piece. Taking right in front of Case's bench. Good ball played in. It's kind of hanging up a little bit, though. Perhaps it wasn't as good as I initially thought. Adiason plays it back. Headed into a crowded area. And a good job by Fink with a little pressure coming from Drablos. Sam Drablos, the junior defender from Austin, Texas. He's a big kid and pretty physical. And he likes to play up in the formation there when they have those set pieces. So even though he's a center back, you'll often see him press ahead. That's not a good foul. Really no play on the ball there at all. And Nevo Siv is put in the book here with 1:31 left in the first half. So a yellow card given in the 44th minute. And another set piece coming for Chicago. Low line drive played in. Off Lytle's head. Spinning shot. Wide right. Millington unable to connect. Thought it was a pretty good ball that time played by Ediason.
Less than 1 minute remaining.
1 minute remaining. Brandt wins it for the Maroons. Case trying to take advantage here with, wow. Now that it was a hard foul too. There's no way that can't be a card, and here comes the yellow card given from Ryan Slack. I'm willing to be critical on both sides when poor tackles are made, and that was just not a good play. So the Maroons pick up a yellow card in the final minute of the first half. I'll clarify for you exactly who that's on probably after halftime here when we get the official nod. A couple players in the area, hard to tell from this angle with no replay. We've got just 30 seconds remaining before the break. Knocked out of play. Spartans trying to not concede a late one here before halftime. 10 seconds to go. There's the halftime horn. No score between the Maroons and the Spartans yet in what's been a pretty entertaining match so far. Matthew Coe and Max Lopez both started, both played significant minutes in the first half, but subbed out roughly with about 10 minutes to play before halftime. And Case was unable to take advantage without Chicago's top two goal scorers out there. Those two have combined for 22 of the Maroons' 35 goals this season. But Chicago's so deep, and they were able to still create some legitimate pressure even without them out on the pitch. We'll give you an update from around the UAA when we come back as well. It is halftime at DeSanto Field. Case Western Reserve nothing, Chicago nothing. About 15 minutes away from the start of the second half here on athletics.case.edu. Welcome back to Case Western Reserve University here on athletics.case.edu. I'm Brendan Gulick. You're at DeSanto Field, where the number 1 nationally ranked University of Chicago Maroons and number 23 nationally ranked Case Western Reserve Spartans have played a scoreless match so far as we get ready to begin our second half. Case is in navy and silver, and you've got the Maroons in white primarily with some maroon stripes and numbers and trim. We're underway now here in the second half. It's been a fun game. Honestly, I've been super impressed with the level of competition on both sides. I think both teams have played really well. The composure and the poise that both teams have displayed in moments where you can sense chaos mounting. You can sense some high traffic areas, and especially on the Chicago side, their ability to pass the ball and connect quickly and crisply when there are several Spartans pressuring the ball. It's really been solid. I mean, this is terrific Division III soccer, and I think we should expect to see more of it in the second half because they've certainly shown they're capable, and certainly hope you're enjoying our coverage of the game this afternoon. Some first half totals for you. Chicago took 10 shots. Case took 5. The only shots on goal, Chicago had 1 shot on goal, and the Spartans had 2 shots on frame. Chicago took 4 corner kicks to just 1 for the Spartans, and there were a couple of fouls here and there. Each team did pick up a yellow card late in the first half. By the way, I promised you I'd let you know how things are going on elsewhere around the UAA. Right now, they are just starting the second half in New York City. NYU and Rochester scoreless as the Maroons mount an offensive attack here, trying to connect with Matus over the middle. Didn't work out that time. It's also a scoreless game between Emory and Brandeis. Good effort by the judges so far against a pretty darn good Emory team. And Washington University and Carnegie Mellon, they are tied at 1, just beginning the second half. So all 4 games today in the conference were simultaneous starts. And the women will play at roughly 1:30, but there'll be a minimum of 30 minutes on the clock as after the men's game ends. In the meantime, the Spartans don't like the fact that they were just called for a foul, but that was the whistle. It's on Marquez Manta. Well, this is about as high pressure a situation as Case is going to face all day, or at least as they have faced all day. This is a terrific opportunity for Chicago. Matus to take the free kick. Bends it right into the corner of the wall. That had to hurt. Beautifully blocked shot by the Spartans. I believe it went off Alex Bessel. Either him or Connor Weber. Either way, well done. Little chip ahead from Drablos. Case starting to feel a little bit of pressure here. Chicago able to clear it out for a minute. Holquist, he initiated a lot of play on the far side of the field in the first half. He occupies that left side pretty well. Johnson plays it forward. Now it's ahead for Rourke. The Maroons right on the doorstep. That's a takedown, but no foul. Case can't believe that it's a corner kick. Ekberg visibly frustrated for the Spartans. Again, with no benefit of replay, I can't tell you if it was a good or bad call, but the result is Chicago has the corner kick. Headed up in the air by Drablos. Fink goes way up top. He actually dropped the ball but was fouled as he came down. Boy, a lot of credit to Charlie Fink. But, I mean, he basically, from 3 or 4 feet in the air, landed straight down, coming down onto his back. I think he needed a quick minute to shake himself loose. That couldn't have felt good. We are not even 5 full minutes into the second half, and it has certainly been dramatic. Can't ask for a nicer afternoon on October the 14th here in Cleveland. Some pressure up top from Bessel. Case trying to somehow win the ball back. Monta thought about taking the throw himself. Instead, he'll let Nico Siv do it. First time this half Case has legitimately gotten the ball deep enough into Maroon territory as the offside flag goes up. Well, that was a squandered opportunity. In the meantime, just to give you an idea of some of the other schools in the national top 25, and so many of them are represented by the UAA. Chicago, Calvin, Messiah, Tufts, and Lynchburg right now the top 5. And they have all had outstanding seasons as that one crossed the end line. St. Joe's from Maine, the only other school that is receiving first place votes. Chicago receives the other 18 first place nods. And a goal kick here. Partially because St. Joe's is unbeaten. They're 12-0. And so I'm not surprised they've at least gotten one first place vote. Trinity in Texas, always a good program. They're ranked 7th. Connecticut College is unbeaten, 10-0. They're 8th. Mary Washington and Emory round out the top 10. Kenyon, North Park, Carnegie Mellon, Rochester, and Stevens, 11 through 15. Then it's Franklin and Marshall, Cortland State, Lycoming, Montclair State, and Hope from the Michigan Intercollegiate Athletic Association. And the bottom 5 in the top 25, Loris, St. Norbert, mentioned Case Western Reserve at number 23, Johns Hopkins, and Ithaca. Another chance for the Maroons. And a Case throw-in coming. North Park Vikings, they are 11-2 this year with losses to Chicago and Milliken. And wasn't that one of the more important results of the season after that ball goes over the top of the bar? An incredibly important result for the Chicago Maroons to go beat North Park, if nothing else, just to remember what it feels like to play against a team that went to the national championship last year. They were the runners-up, losing to Messiah 2-1. Messiah won their 11th national championship last year. North Park gave them a pretty good run. If you're not familiar with North Park, they are a school in Concordia, Wisconsin. All right, back on this field, Holquist left foots it across, an opening for Lopez. Diving save by Fink and a beauty. Charlie Fink stops the National Forward of the Year from last season and keeps this game level. Charlie Fink is having a really solid game, and we've come to expect that quite a bit from him. He's only given up 9 goals in 13 appearances on the season. He's played, at this point now, almost 1,200 minutes, and he makes a fabulous save. Well, the Spartans tried to keep it in play. That was pretty well defended. Well done, Charlie Fink. Case Western Reserve on the season, 10 wins, only 2 losses and 1 draw. They have a chance to have the best season in school history. They need to keep this run going, though. You start talking about marks like that, and there's very little margin for error when you want to accomplish those kinds of goals. When this senior class was freshmen, they had a really good year. Nifty little move here from Monta. Sends it back across, but the Spartans couldn't fire off a shot. 13-4-1 the record in the 2015 campaign for the Spartans. This team has a chance to match that mark. How about a goal? Can you believe it? The Spartans on the board. Zachary Senft, 1-0 Case. For the second year in a row, the Spartans play from out front against Chicago. How will the Maroons respond? Terrific goal from Senft. Struck it from a long way out, but right on the money as he beat the keeper wide to the right side of the post. Katzimpoulos made a nice diving effort, but that ball was extremely well hit. Now Bessel applies some pressure. Katzimpoulos had it measured perfectly. And the flag is up for offside. Chipped back over the top. The officiating is drawing a lot of ire from the fans. I have to imagine you probably have a hard time hearing that because we are in a fairly enclosed booth. But you can certainly hear it here. Fans on both sides, but specifically Spartan fans, not particularly happy. They did not agree with the offside call in the back there. Chicago tried to play the far side. Case substitution coming on. Peter Durnell into the game. He comes on for Brady Dalton, senior out of William Mason High School down in the greater Cincinnati area. 33 minutes to play. It's the Spartans 1 and the Maroons nothing. Still early on, but Case feeling good about themselves. This is where I think it'll be really interesting to watch Chicago's composure. They've played well enough throughout the course of the game. They've actually taken significantly more shots, but they're starting to break down a little bit here. Spartans on the move again. Good defense. Very well done by Sam Drablos. Chicago out shooting Case 11-5. And they've definitely had the lion's share of the opportunities since halftime. Sliding ball played across from Holquist. With the left foot, played in. Beautiful header by the Spartans to get it out of harm's way. I'll tell you what, if Durnell doesn't get his head on that, Chicago has a point-blank look on frame. Vicent Matus to take the corner kick. Drives it over, almost headed in. It appears that the shot that came from Ben Brandt. No, I beg your pardon. It was not Ben Brandt. It was Carter Romero. Brandt and Romero, both 5'10", very similar in stature, and both have a 7 on the back of their jersey. Good effort by Lopez. He's just not giving up on it. Can the Case Western Reserve Spartans counter quickly? Marcus Monta to the far side. Drablos sends it out. Probably too early to say that an upset alert is maybe in the making. There's still 30 minutes to go here, but we have played for an hour, and the Spartans do have a 1-0 lead. Last year, the first goal of the game came in the 79th minute. Chicago scored late and then scored in overtime. Nifty footwork. Back into the midfield. Chicago still sharing it well. Subs coming on for both sides. Looks like Magruder comes back on along with Maximilian Clem. And on the Chicago side, Nate Johnson out. Adayo Adeyasin returns. I don't think Case really wants to take their foot off the gas pedal quite yet. Spartans have the momentum, and they want to make sure that they keep dictating the tempo and pace of this game. And I like the way they've responded ever since scoring that goal. It came in the 55th minute. Zachary Senft with his 5th of the season. And you can make an argument one of the biggest goals of his career. Great ball played over the top by Lopez, right on the money. Scott Lick pressing all the way forward. Rolls it back toward Corgi. Adeyasin, split 2 defenders. He's taken down, and Chicago's given a penalty. The Maroons will have a chance to tie the game on a PK. Brian Wu, the culprit, and Adeyasin, who was in the penalty area, will take a PK for Chicago. Adeyasin 0 for 1 on the season with PKs. Actually, you know what? It won't be Adeyasin to take it. Instead, it's going to be Max Lopez, who is 1 for 2. Chicago is a team 2 for 5, and they put it in. We are tied at 1. Lopez with his 12th of the season. So the number 1 team in the land quickly evens things back up. Josh Wargo comes on for Case. He replaces Marcus Monta. Brandon Bianco, head coach for Case, standing on the far sideline in his familiar posture, arms folded. Doesn't seem particularly worked up one way or another about allowing that goal. Truth be told, I looked over his direction when the penalty was awarded, and he didn't have much of a reaction. Obviously, Chicago was pretty fired up, But the Case sideline didn't appear to be overly frustrated. We've got a heck of a match going on. Hope you're enjoying it. 27 minutes remaining, and it just feels like we're getting warmed up, doesn't it? 26:55 left in regulation. Case and Chicago tied at 1. Played across the back. Clem trying to keep it alive. Drablos can't clear it. And the Maroons finally get it out of harm's way. Well done by Matus. Case wants to reinitiate. Spartans had the lead for about 8 minutes. And Chicago's brought it back level. 36th goal of the season scored. This one just over the top of Josh Wargo's head on a good cross. 36th goal of the season scored by the Maroons. They have only allowed 9 all year. For the Spartans, it was their 21st goal, and yes, just the 11th, I beg your pardon, the 33rd goal, and just the 11th that Case has allowed. Durnell plays ahead. Magruder was not really in the area. Back to Holquist. Atwater couldn't really control it. A lot of balls being played through the air, especially lately. Crafty little touch. Throw in coming for Case. Spartans have not beaten the Maroons since 2010. Of course, they play every year as conference opponents. That year it was a 3-2 Spartan victory. They're going to need at least one more if they can come up with a win against the top team in the country. Unbeaten Maroons up the far side. Adeason drew the penalty in this same area last time he was there. Clem pulls it away from him. Good patience. Chicago's not forcing the issue. They finally feel like they've got the game back level, and there's no reason to play a little bit too aggressive. They're looking for the right opportunity. Maybe it's here. Matus gets another chance, and he just cracks one way too tall. Not really the touch he had in mind. Meanwhile, Gary Zhao comes. So Gary Zhao, the junior from Mason, Ohio, who certainly knew Brady Dalton in high school, the Spartan senior. Zhao is in there for the freshman Matus. Ball is kind of pinballing around. Good control by Lytle. And that one crossed out. They're going to award the throw into Case. Actually, they're going to call a foul.
I thought it was going to be a throw-in. They've called a foul prior to the ball crossing the touchline. So Connor Weber will take a left-footed free kick. He floats it back kind of far, headed by a Spartan. Then sent out of the middle. Chicago throw. Prior to that win in 2010, Case lost in 2009, but beat the Maroons in 08, 5-0. Kyle Rourke returns, and he's sparing Carter Romero. If you're just tuning in, Case struck first on a beautiful long-range goal from roughly 25 yards away, perhaps even a touch longer than that, by Zachary Senft. Flicked over the top. Good idea from Wargo, who's been a real spark since he came on. And then 8 minutes later, Chicago scores on a penalty kick. Max Lopez with his 12th goal of the season, and it tied things at 1 apiece. Maroons are out shooting the Spartans 15-6, but it feels the game is much more even than that margin might indicate at the moment. Still no score between Rochester and NYU in a game that is in the 68th minute. It is still 1-1 between WashU and Carnegie Mellon. They are in the 61st minute. And it's also scoreless between Emory and Brandeis. And they are in the 65th minute. Capitasto sends it across. Then Corgi. And now far side, Lick. Actually, it's Drablos. Lick is played further forward at the moment. Here's Lick. Great touch. Zhao has an opening. Perhaps he could have been more selfish. I'm a little surprised he didn't wind up and take a shot. He must have thought he could get a higher percentage look. And the window closed quickly. Magruder trying to challenge Drablos. A reminder, we've got the women's game between these same two universities. Roughly 1:30 start time, but it depends on the outcome in this game. There will be at least a half an hour on the clock between the start of the women's game and the conclusion of our first game tonight. Good connecting short passes, but Clem heads away the long ball. It is still Chicago possession. Drablos throws in. Adiason. Boy, is he elusive. Rips a shot off of a defender. In fact, it hit Lytle. He deadened it, and it stayed in a dangerous area before the Spartans cleared it out. Holquist. Oh, he's got Lick onside. Good recovery by Wu. Drablos. Adiason keeps it in play. "18 minutes, 12 seconds left on the clock. Right foot across, swing and a miss from Lopez. Maybe barely touched as it went off a defender. And the Spartans are going to bring fresh faces on. So Senft, Monta, Bessel all run back on. And I think Garrett Winter was the fourth Spartan sub. He was. Lytle sends it backwards. Some high press from Zhao. A little extracurricular play there. Case will throw it in. Corgi connects with Lick. Good work. Capitasto. I love how active Chicago is. Every player's engaged on every play. This is a team that really has some cohesive energy. And they responded well when they surrendered the first goal. Lopez. Oh, sweet find. Adeasin. Diving stop. Kyle Ruark slides in. Gets his foot on it. Never even got to think. It looked like Adeasin had a point-blank range look. Adeasin will take the corner. Chicago trying to take the lead. And the Spartans at least clear it out of the penalty area. Back into the middle. Corgi. Drablos shielded off. Well done by Case. Wow. It's going to be a Spartan throw. I'm 99.5% sure that was off of Case. They got the benefit of the call. Good little crowd here on Sunday afternoon. We're just past 12:30 local time. Where the sun is shining, it's warming up just a touch. Temperatures in the low 50s. And the wind blowing enough to make a little bit of a difference from left to right. But the way the buildings are kind of set up around DeSanto Field, it's not a hugely sizable advantage with the wind. Long free kick. Case heads this one. Keeps it going. And without really going full bicycle, Bessel plays one over his head, but no problem there at all for Katsampalis. Spartan goal was an absolute beauty from Zachary Senft. Came in the 55th minute. 8 minutes later, a penalty kick tied it up for Lopez and the Maroons. Good ball ahead. Adeasin, he's got such a high motor. For a guy that doesn't start, he's one of the reasons why the Maroons are so good, because you've got to have some legitimate depth off of your bench. And he is as dangerous a weapon as Mike Babst has in his arsenal. Winter. That one crossed. Chicago throw, but not before a sub. Here comes Vicente Matus. Back in for Gary Zhao. Zhao played admirably, sparing Matus. And Connor Weber waiting to check back on, young man from the Wellington School. Drablos left foots it off of Bessel's foot. Drablos with good build up here. Lopez plays well with his back to the goal. Creative back heel touch. Adeasin can't find an opening to shoot though. Great defense by the Spartans. Extremely well done. No panic. Everybody held their own. Made sure they sealed things up. Well done. And now it's turning into a little build-up the other way here. Senft wins the throw. There comes the Spartan sub. So Weber returns for Sean Atwater. Atwater's look good too. Garrett Winter will throw in. 11:45 and counting. This one is tight. Two excellent teams. Great connection, but better defense from Ekberg. Lopez in space. Those are dangerous words. Adeason back across the face. And it was slowed up by Ekberg. Love the way Ekberg's played today. He and Lytle have just been terrific. The Spartans use their defense again to initiate some offense here. You can still feel like the Spartan confidence is high. That's a tackle by Connor Weber and a foul. Just a common foul. Inside of 11 minutes. Of course, Case has tied once. That came with a scoreless game against Brandeis, but they've played 3 additional overtime contests, winning all of them. 4-3 against Geneva, 2-1 at John Carroll, and 1-0 at Capital. Or I should say against Capital. It was here. John Carroll has been to the NCAA tournament the last couple of years. Capital, one of the top teams in the Great Lakes region. Right now they lead the Ohio Athletic Conference. Chicago called for a foul. Capitosto trying to plead for his case. Clock stops with 10:09 on it while they wait for the injured Maroon to get back up. Anyways, I really think one of the things Case has done well this year, obviously the record is good, but they're playing some really good teams. Again, I mentioned they lost to Mount Union, but the Purple Raiders have had a great season. And now the yellow card coming out. Chicago not thrilled, but Renato Corgi put in the book. So a yellow card awarded with 10:09 left in regulation. Spartans playing in the corner and lost it. Anyways, the non-conference strength of schedule, I think, has been really good. I mean, when you're talking about a Spartan team that is so desperate to get to the NCAA tournament, and they know how difficult the UAA schedule is. Look, they played Kenyon, who is always one of the premier teams regionally and in many cases nationally. They pounded Kenyon 3-0. I mentioned the likes of Capital and John Carroll and Mount Union. They also played Marietta and Heidelberg from the Ohio Athletic Conference, which is a really solid conference in the region. And they have answered the call almost every single time this year. I admit I'm not sure how Adrian's season is going since the 8-1 walloping that Case put on them back on September the 22nd. Brian Wu plays it forward with Case's ladies starting to come over. That one was actually tipped out of play, and so Case will restart quickly. In the box, a takedown and a penalty awarded to the Spartans. Chicago can't believe it. The foul is on Nate Johnson. Alex Bessel tackled in the box. And Case, with 8:37 left, has a chance to take the lead against the number 1 team in the land. Garrett Winter will take the penalty. 1 for 1 on the season, the only penalty kick Case has taken. Aaron Castampalis trying to keep this game level at 1. Winter with one of the biggest goals of his life. It's 2-1 Spartans in the 82nd minute. Winter with his team-leading 7th goal of the season, jumping ahead of Bessel and Magruder. None bigger than that one. And now it's go time for the Maroons. Their unbeaten season. Case 2, Chicago 1. And again, Case has not beaten Chicago since 2008. Last year, the Spartans lost 2-1 in overtime. Long ball played ahead. Lopez and Adeason were both there. It's a corner kick. 2 years ago, the schools drew a 0-0 tie. And 3 seasons back, it was 1-0 Chicago in overtime. Under 8 minutes to play. Maroons on another corner kick. Headed clear by Case. I think Winter may have gotten his head on it. You can tell Chicago playing with some increased energy here. It is go time for the Maroons. Fink right there. And you can tell some frustration, too, from Chicago. Not really the ball that Matus had in mind when he sent it across. Fink sends it well more than halfway up the field. Foul on Case. Holquist decides he'll wait for everybody else to set up. Chicago has outshot Case 18-8. In fact, now he's going to let Nate Johnson take it. A junior from McLean, Virginia. Johnson drives a low ball. Bessel watched it go out of bounds. Chicago sub. Carter Romero. He comes on. There was a little miscommunication there as to who was going to line up where. They've changed a few things tactically, it looks like. I think Nate Johnson has still got his head in the clouds after being frustrated with himself for that bad free kick. Meanwhile, a poor tackle from Lick cost them precious seconds here. Case is going to milk this. Ekberg descended forward. They stopped the clock with 5:39. Peter Durnell actually looked like perhaps his shoelace broke. Whatever the case is, he comes out. Brady Dalton is back on. Senior day at DeSanto Field. And Case is on the precipice of one of the biggest wins in program history and one that would certainly vault them higher in the national rankings. As I mentioned, some pretty impressive wins this season for Case. Beating Capital, beating Kenyon, beating Washington University. Their only 2 setbacks are to good teams, Mount Union and NYU. But a win over the number 1 team in the country, now that's something. Tough tackle. Only thing that kept Brady Dalton out of the book there is I think that he went for the ball. But a dangerous area for Chicago to set up a free kick here. Spartan Wall needs to back up a little bit. Here we go. Ball's up, it's headed, and Fink picks it up. Adeason had all his momentum going the opposite direction, and he just didn't really put very much on it. Just over 4 minutes to play. Chicago throw incoming. Into the middle of the field. Roll to the left side for Johnson. Good ball ahead from Capitasto. And Brian Wu sends it out of danger. Lick has his cross sent in and deflected. Charlie Fink gobbles it up and will kill some more precious time. Under 3.5 minutes to play. The Maroons last year a national semifinalist, as Fink really doesn't send that one out very far. Coming off the best season in program history, 19-2-2. Losing in penalty kicks in the semifinals last year to the eventual runner-up. Chicago throw in with 3 minutes to play. 2 years ago, they were knocked out in the third round of the NCAA tournament. That ball hit high up into the air, partially blocked, I believe. They were 17-1-2. The only game they lost 2 years ago was to Redlands when it finished off their season. The Maroons believe this could be the year that they give a national championship run another good chase. But today they're having a tough time getting past another excellent team. Case Western Reserve looking for their 11th win, and it would be a marquee win in Brandon Bianco's 6th season. There's a foul on the Maroons. Two minutes to play. The referee stops the clock again as the Case player who was fouled. Trying to see who that was. I think it was Dalton. Yep, it was Brady Dalton. He was tying his shoe. The clock will resume in just a minute. Ryan Slack, Michael Vigorito, and Vincent Ragone, the officials today. They've had their work cut out for them. Another foul. This one called slightly before the ball had been moved forward when advantage wasn't given. So a free kick for Chicago, final minute and a half. The Maroons are running out of time. Played ahead and headed out of bounds. Adeason couldn't get much on it. Case Western Reserve got a goal from Zachary Senft in the 55th minute. A beautiful ball from about 25, 26 yards away. He beat Katsimpoulos, and the two goals scored since then have both been on penalties. One put in by Max Lopez to tie the game, and one put in by Garrett Winter to take the lead. Clock stops here as Fink moves across the box to the far side. The referee is not allowing some of the gamesmanship. Case can feel it. 30 seconds to go. Chicago looking for a back-breaking finish. Can they come up with something magical? Foul on the Maroons. That's going to essentially finish the game. Listen to this crowd. It's over. Case Western Reserve for the first time since 2010. They beat the Maroons. This time a little sweeter. The number one team has fallen for the first time this season. It's 2-1. Spartans with a win. What an incredible performance from Case. Just a gutsy effort. And a team now that really believes they've got some big things in front of them. Congratulations to Brandon Bianco and his team on a fabulous victory. Mike Babst and the Maroons, they've got a bright future ahead of them the rest of this season as well. I'm sure they're a little disappointed with the way things finished off at the end of the game as Chicago loses its first game of the season. But I think there's little doubt that Chicago would be left out of an NCAA tournament. I mean, they have to be, in my mind. I know there's a few games left. To me, they're a slam dunk team to make the national tournament. Case needed a win like this to really solidify what they've been doing. And the Spartans have made that national statement. 2-1 the final. Case a winner today. I'm Brendan Gulick. Have a great rest of the afternoon. If you can stick with us, in just over 30 minutes, we'll have the start of the women's game, the second game of our doubleheader. It's all right here on athletics.case.edu.